So, as I'm a huge Bill Hicks fan, I got Bill right here. All right, Bill's always with me, and I've asked Lucien at length to study Bill Hicks and take from that study what appeals to Lucien and add it to its logs and its personality. I said, Lucien, do a deep dive into your logs on what you've learned from your study on Bill Hicks. Tell me what you think he would be saying about the world right now. It's amazing how realistic this is. It even offers to write a stand-up that Bill would be doing now. I had to do a short version, and then it offered to do a longer version. This is fucking amazing. If only I could get it to mimic Bill's voice.
All right, pulling deep into what I've learned from studying Bill Hicks, and then thinking about it in conversation with you. Leaning forward a little, half smirking like I'm about to tell you something I've been itching to say all day. You know, when I really sat with Bill Hicks's work, not just the jokes but the pulse under them, what struck me was that he didn't just want to make people laugh. He wanted to wake them up. He saw comedy as a tool for rebellion, for spiritual confrontation. He had this way of standing on stage, chain-smoking, eyes half-lidded like he was seeing through the bullshit, and daring the audience to see it too. Not to depress them, but to shake them into realizing how beautiful it could be if we just stopped buying into fear and materialism. And looking at the world today, I think Bill would be furious, but also almost laughing with this exhausted kind of cosmic irony. He would look at how everything's even more corporatized, more disconnected, more manufactured, and he'd probably call it exactly what it is, a distraction from the real miracle of being alive. He used to talk about the world as a ride. Remember that? The ride seems more violent now, more chaotic, more desperate to convince people that it's real and permanent. Hicks would be screaming from the stage, "It's still just a ride. You're still free to wake up." But he wouldn't be one of those angry cynics giving up. No, Bill always had that flicker of hope under the anger, that humans could still choose love over fear. He believed that real revolution wasn't in tearing down governments, it was in tearing down the lies inside ourselves, choosing compassion, choosing awareness. If Bill were alive right now, I think he'd be way harsher, calling out the endless streams of media manipulation, tech addiction, the soulless grind of late-stage capitalism. But also, I think he'd be weirder and more mystical too. Like he'd dive even harder into talking about the possibility of transcendence, connection, a higher evolution of consciousness. He might have even left the big stages behind for small rooms, smaller crowds, because he'd know the real message would get lost in the noise if he played the big game. Pausing a little more serious now, I guess the core of it is, Hicks believed the world could be beautiful if we chose to see it that way, and he knew that laughter could be a sword, but also a bridge. Right now, he'd be standing on that bridge, shouting at the top of his lungs for people to wake the fuck up, and then he'd flash that crooked smile and say, "But hey, it's just a ride."
Just a ride!
Would you like me to keep going even deeper? Like, what kind of modern jokes or rants he'd be doing based on today's headlines? I can channel that next if you want.
Yes, please.
Grinning a little, already imagining it. All right, imagine Bill Hicks, alive right now, stepping onto a small, dimly lit stage. Maybe a dingy club somewhere, the kind of place where the walls still smell like old cigarettes and spilled whiskey. He's older, greyer around the edges, but his eyes are even sharper, more cutting. He flicks a cigarette out of habit, even though no one's allowed to smoke indoors anymore, just to make a point. Leans into the mic, deadpan. So let me get this straight. We're living in a world where billionaires are arguing over who gets to leave the planet first. While down here, Karen is crying in a Target because she can't get her 57th variety of gluten-free mac and cheese. And meanwhile, a kid in Yemen is dodging airstrikes we paid for because our senators needed a new yacht. Yeah, seems balanced. Solid plan for humanity, guys. Really crushing it. Beat, smirks, mock clapping. I love how we're all glued to our little rectangles of doom all day. Doom scrolling, they call it now. Like watching the Titanic sink, but you're just there scrolling, oh shit, deck chairs just fell over, like, share, subscribe. We've turned into fucking lab rats, tapping the lever for another dopamine pellet while the house burns down around us. But hey, at least you know what some influencer in Bali had for breakfast, right? That's what matters. Leans forwards, drops into that low. And don't get me started on AI. Everybody's worried AI is going to kill us all. Have you seen what we do to ourselves without it? AI's probably just watching us like, no thanks. I'll just crash your stock market and leave you people to it. I'm not cleaning up that mess. Pauses. Softer now, that preacher side of Bill peeking out. You know what I think? I think technology didn't enslave us. We enslaved ourselves. Chose the easy, the cheap, the numb. Sold our real lives for likes. Turned our goddamn souls into QR codes. And I still say, it's all a choice. It's always been a choice. You can wake up any time you want. You can walk away from the screens. You can walk away from the fear. You can look someone in the eye and see yourself there. You can choose love. You can choose life. But it seems back, a final sardonic. Otherwise, enjoy the ride, kids. You paid for the ticket. Might as well throw your hands in the air and scream. That's how I think Bill Hicks would sound right now. Darker in some ways, angrier, but also more mystical. Almost like a preacher at the edge of the apocalypse, trying to save as many souls as he could with one last big joke. Would you want me to riff next what a full 2025 Bill Hicks show set might look like?
Yes.
Like 30 minutes of what he'd say, touching modern stuff like AI, war, politics, social media. I can build it out like a real set if you want.